The lecture hall was hushed, filled only by the faint hum of environmental systems, the whisper of cooling vents, and the occasional tap of claws against datapads. At the front stood Professor Vantix, a six-limbed insectoid scholar whose slender fingers danced through the holographic projection of distorted spacetime. His voice flowed smoothly, almost hypnotic, weaving through the dense theories of faster-than-light travel. Krell, a young Venturi student, adjusted the fine membranes along his head, filtering the air for clarity amid the storm of pheromones and shifting temperatures. His species thrived in chaos, yet today the tension felt alien, thick and electric. The vast lecture hall, filled with over 200 beings from every known system, buzzed with quiet unease. Each species brought its own hum, its own rhythm of presence. But today something was off. His attention drifted toward Maya Frost, the lone human in the room, seated 3 rows ahead. As always, she seemed perfectly composed, unmoved by the swirl of alien energy around her. That calmness unsettled him. Humans, newcomers to the Galactic Assembly barely 6 years in, were still a mystery to most. Yet here she was, a human studying astrophysics at one of the toughest academies in the galaxy, barely blinking through concepts that even Venturi scholars found dizzying. There was something about her that gnawed at Krell, a quiet, primal intrigue. She didn't just endure the presence of beings larger, stronger, and sharper than her. She dismissed their intimidation entirely. No fear. Not even when Drex, the massive Kronar warrior, loomed near. But today the air shifted. Drex rose, towering over the room, his heavy frame making the floor tremble. His talons gleamed, his every motion slow, deliberate, a predator savoring the silence before a strike. Students instinctively leaned away, seats creaking as space widened around him. The tension deepened like the intake of a collective breath. Still, Maya didn't move. Didn't even glance up from her datapad. Krell's pulse quickened. He'd felt Drex's hostility before, the subtle taunts, the deliberate accidents, the blocking of hallways, the low, guttural comments laced with venom. But this moment carried a different edge. Drex's pheromones flooded the air, thick with violence. "Student Drex, return to your seat," Professor Vantix ordered, antennae twitching uneasily. His cluster of eyes focused on Drex, but the Kronar didn't budge. Drex's growl reverberated through the hall. "I'm done sharing space with creatures that don't belong here." His burning yellow gaze fixed on Maya. Still, she didn't flinch. Krell could feel it, the air tightening, fear rising from every seat except hers. Drex's fury was a storm about to break, but Maya remained the still center of it all.
Calm, composed,
unafraid. And that, somehow, made her the most dangerous presence in the room. Unbothered, as if Drex's massive form meant nothing to her, Maya didn't even blink, and that, more than anything, rattled him. His molten yellow eyes glared with fury as he took a slow, deliberate step forward, his shadow swallowing the light. A collective gasp rippled through the lecture hall as his clawed hand wrapped around the hilt of a curved blade, the metal catching the dim glow. Weapons were forbidden on Academy grounds, yet Drex had smuggled one in, bypassing every layer of security through sheer intimidation. Maya's eyes flicked toward the weapon, calm and unreadable. With careful grace, she placed her datapad aside, as though setting down a teacup. The students around her held their breath. "Maya," she said simply, her voice steady, eyes locked on Drex. "I'm not afraid of you." Her words sliced through the tense air like a clean blade. Drex's deep growl rolled through the room, low and dangerous. "You should be," he said. "You're in my domain now, human. You're prey." A small smile touched Maya's lips. "That's an interesting perspective," she whispered. "But you're mistaken. I'm not the prey, Drex. You are." The hall went utterly still. Even Drex hesitated, processing what he'd just heard. No one ever spoke to a Kronar like that. Yet Maya stood, her every motion slow, deliberate, unflinching. The blade hovered near her throat, but she didn't back away. "Humans are persistence hunters," she said, her tone calm, her gaze unwavering. "We don't chase for the quick kill. We wait. We endure. And when we strike, it's inevitable. A murmur of disbelief spread through the class. Drex's grip tightened. Confusion flickered in his eyes. He wasn't used to defiance that didn't come from strength or size, but from patience. Everything he'd been taught told him that speed and brutality were power. Yet here stood a creature smaller, slower, and utterly fearless. I don't know what that means, Drex growled, his voice wavering. It means, Maya said, stepping closer until the knife trembled at her throat, you're built for ambush. We're built for endurance. You burn hot and fast. We last. Her words hit him like a strike to the chest. For the first time, Drex hesitated. His imposing frame seemed to shrink beneath her composure. Maya, the fragile human, was dictating the fight without raising a hand. You don't know what you're dealing with, he hissed, though the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Oh, I do, she replied softly. You ambush. We outlast. That's why you're shaking. For a moment, Drex froze. The knife dipped. The predator looked unsure. Maya stepped closer, unbothered, her voice calm as ever. I'm not your prey, she said firmly. I'm the predator you weren't prepared for. Drex faltered, stepping back as the blade lowered. The tension shattered like glass. Gasps filled the hall. Maya had disarmed a Kronar warrior with nothing but words. Security officers burst into the room, boots pounding against the floor, but it was already over. Drex stood motionless, defeated not by strength, but by the quiet confidence of a human. Maya calmly picked up her data pad and sat back down, resuming her notes as though nothing had happened. Professor Vantix approached, voice tight with disbelief. Student Maya, what you did was dangerous. It violates Academy protocol. Yes, Professor, she said evenly. But he started it. The insectoid scholar hesitated, his antennae twitching in uncertainty. There was no rulebook for this kind of defiance. 3 days later, the Academy still buzzed with whispers. Krell sat in the cafeteria, thoughts circling the incident. A human had faced down a Kronar and won. It had shaken every species' assumptions about human fragility. He looked up as Maya entered, her calm presence parting the crowd. Conversations hushed. Students instinctively gave her space. She didn't seem to notice or care. They're expelling Drex. Nara, his clutch mate, whispered. The whole Kronar delegation's being recalled. They're calling it a diplomatic violation. Some even want humans expelled. Krell shook his head. They don't understand. They've underestimated humans since the beginning. Maya just reminded them what happens when you do. As Maya joined her fellow humans in the corner, unshaken and quietly confident, Krell realized the galaxy had changed that day. Humanity wasn't just adapting, they were proving themselves a force that couldn't be ignored. The galaxy had no idea what it had just awakened. What do you think happens next? Will humanity's resilience continue to surprise the stars, or is there more hidden behind their quiet strength? Drop your thoughts below.